Imagine having a personal assistant inside Telegram, one that can remember your notes, recall them instantly, and even summarize long articles for you. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that using Python, Flask, SQLite, OpenAI, and the Telegram's API. And the best part is that you can run this locally in just a few minutes. So the first step is to actually create a new Telegram bot. And in order to do that, what you need to do is you need to start a new chat with botfather, and then you need to type in /new bot, and then you need to follow the instructions that you're prompted with. So you need to choose a name for your bot, and then you need to choose a username. So once you have provided the name and the username for the bot, then you'll get an access token, which you need to copy and save somewhere. So the next step is to go to PyCharm and create a new project. So the project is going to have 3 different Python files. One of them is going to be called app.py, then the second one is keys.py, and the last one is called models.py. So we're going to start with app.py because this is the main module behind our application. And in here, what you need to do is you need to create a small Flask application. So you need to install the dependencies for Flask so that you can actually import Flask. And you need to create an application. So once you have created a Flask application, then what we need to do is we need to define this webhook, which will be used for Telegram. So whenever someone interacts with your chatbot in Telegram, then all the messages are going to be sent to this webhook. So in here, what we're doing is basically we're getting the JSON body of the message, and then this contains different fields such as the chat ID and the actual message that someone has sent to the Telegram bot. And what we do in here is we have a conditional statement, or let's say multiple conditional statements. And in the first one, we're basically introducing the remember command. So whenever someone types remember and then they type any sort of text, say for example, buy milk tomorrow, then what's going to happen is we're going to hit this branch, this conditional statement. And in here is basically what we're doing is we're splitting the node from the actual keyword. And after this, if we have something to basically remember, we create an instance of the memory class, which we're going to look at in a moment. So this class is basically used to store the chat ID and the actual node, and we're saving this to our SQLite database. And after this, what we're doing is basically we're sending a message to the user just to say that we have remembered this node. And otherwise, if the command is actually recall, then what we do is, again, we're using this memory class and we're fetching all the memories, or let's say all the different nodes that we have memorized so far. And if we have any memories, then we basically print them all and send them back to our user. And finally, if we have the summarize command, what we do is we extract the different parts from the summarize command. And if we have 2 different parts, we know that the second part will be the URL. And we basically get the URL and we call this scrape URL function. So the scrape URL function is basically using beautiful soup behind the scenes. So first we fetch the contents of the HTML page for this URL, and then we extract the text and we're passing the text to beautiful soup. And in here what we do is basically we extract all the paragraphs from the page. And finally, we're taking the first 10 paragraphs, which will then be passed to OpenAI so that we can summarize them. So you can modify this accordingly to suit your needs, but I think the first 10 paragraphs of an article are sufficient to basically get the main idea of what the article is about. So once we have extracted all the different paragraphs for the article, after this what we're doing is we're calling this summarize text function. And what this is doing is it's taking the text which was extracted from the paragraphs, and then it's passing this text to OpenAI. So in here we're creating an OpenAI connection, and then we're saying, okay, this is our text which we want to summarize, and then the system prompt is basically summarize this text clearly and concisely. So when this runs, then it's going to return a response with the summary from all the paragraphs that we've sent to it. And finally, we have this else block. So if the user types a command or any text that we don't recognize, then what we do is we just say, okay, this is the list of available commands, and the list is basically remember, recall, and summarize. So next, what we are going to look at is models.py. So this module or this file contains logic about our database. And basically in here we just have one class that models a concept of a node, and then we're calling this memory. And then this memory is going to have 4 different fields. So one of them is going to be ID, then we have chat ID, node, and the actual timestamp when this was actually added to the database. So now that we have covered models.py, let's go back to the original file, which is app.py. And in here, what we're doing is we're basically creating our database. So this will be created as a file on our system. And the name of the file will be db.sqlite3. And after this, we're creating all the tables in the database. And in this case, we're going to have just one table that's going to be called memories. So table name is actually the name of the table in our database. And after this, we're just creating a session to our database. So in here, we create a connection to OpenAI. So if you don't have an OpenAI API key, what you need to do is you need to go to platform.openai.com, sign up or log in if you have an account already, and then you need to generate a new API key that you can plug into this script. So the Telegram token is the token that was given to us by BotFather when we created the chatbot. And you need to put this somewhere safe, because if someone gets access to this Telegram token, then they can basically read all the messages, they can delete the bot, they can do whatever they want with this Telegram token. Last but not least, what we need to do is we need to configure the Telegram chatbot so that whenever someone sends a message to it, we trigger the webhook. And in order to set the webhook in Telegram, what you need to do is you need to send a post request to this URL, which is called set webhook. And you need to provide the URL where all the messages will be sent to. So in this case, we're going to use Ngrok so that we can open a tunnel to our local host. If you want to quickly test your bot locally, then you can do that by using Ngrok. But if you want to publish your bot to the public, I would suggest using Python Anywhere, because you can basically deploy the entire Flask application for free on Python Anywhere. You can set up your webhook for Telegram, and then all the messages that will be sent to your Telegram bot will be then forwarded to the webhook in Python Anywhere. So if you don't have an account in Python Anywhere, you can click on the link in the description and you can sign up. It's completely free and you don't need to pay anything, and you can actually deploy any Flask application that you like. So in order to create an Ngrok URL so that we can actually test this bot locally, what we need to do is we need to run Ngrok, and then we need to point it to our local host. So when we run this, you will see that it's going to create a unique URL for us. So what we need to do is we need to copy this URL, and we need to call the Telegram's endpoint for setting a webhook. And then what this is going to do is basically it's going to set this URL as the webhook. And after this, when we send the message to our Telegram bot, it's going to forward all the traffic or all the messages to our webhook. So if we run this now, what's going to happen is it's going to say that the webhook was set. So you can see that the webhook was set successfully. And now if we run our Flask application, then all the traffic that is sent to our Telegram bot will be forwarded to this URL and then /webhook. And this is going to resolve to this route in our Flask application so that we can quickly test our chatbot before we go ahead and deploy it on Python Anywhere or any other deployment platform that you might want to use. So at this point we can run our Flask application and see if it actually works. So our application is now up and running on our local host, but as you know, we're using Ngrok, so all the traffic that gets sent to this webhook, which we set up earlier, is going to be forwarded to our local host. So we're now in Telegram, and now we can just type a message and let's say hi. And this is the list of available commands that our bot has. So let's say we want to recall the nodes that we have. So in this case, we don't have any nodes. So basically, the bot should say that there's nothing to recall. So there you go, the bot said that there's nothing to recall, it doesn't remember anything. So now what we can say is, let's say, remember buy milk tomorrow. So you can see that it remembered the node successfully, and then it also returned a message just to confirm that this was remembered. So now if we call recall, then it should basically tell us that we need to buy milk tomorrow. So there you go. When we typed /recall, it told us that it remembers something this time, so buy milk tomorrow. And now, if we want to summarize an article, what we can do is we can go to BBC News, and I don't know, we can pick any article that we want, let's say something that's sports related. And we can just copy the URL. So once we are in Telegram, then we need to type / summarize, and then we can paste the URL. So let's hit enter and let the magic happen. And there you go. So we got a nice summary a few seconds after we sent this summarize command. So you can see how powerful this personal assistant is. So you can add as many commands as you want to it. And obviously you can use different basically commands, different names, so that it makes sense to you. Or if you're building this for some users, then obviously you can get their feedback about what they want in terms of like commands and what names the commands should have. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get full access to the code behind this video and any of my previous videos, feel free to click on the link down below in the description and sign up to my school community. It's completely free and you don't need to pay anything. Thank you very much for your time and see you in the next video.